Hello.
Hello.
Wondering if we could talk about the economy.
Yeah, we can talk about the economy. What about the economy do you want to talk about?
So the economy was like a lot better under Trump. All my prices were cheaper, my stocks were going up, everything was good. And then Biden came in and just completely ruined it and axed it. And a lot of people are struggling because of it.
Okay, so what did Trump do right and what did Joe Biden do wrong?
Well, it was just better because like everything was cheaper.
No, but like what did they
Biden had
do?
all this inflation.
What did Trump do right though? Like what's a good policy you like from Trump?
I think he has a good tariff policy.
But that's a policy he wants to do in the future, across the board tariffs. I mean for like the Trump economy from 2016 to 2020, is there like one big thing that sticks out to you that Joe Biden messed up on that Trump was doing good?
I think Trump did a great job during COVID. And I think that impacted it.
So during COVID, America has 5% of the world's population. So we have 5% of the world's population, but we had 20% of COVID deaths. So America failed under Trump with COVID, and our economy got worse under Trump with COVID. And then the inflation from COVID happened under Biden because it was going to happen everywhere. So every country across the globe had major price increases. But under Joe Biden, he did get blamed for it, but America had the quickest recovery. So our inflation went down in America quicker than any other country in the world did, largely because of Joe Biden's policies. So I think you're placing blame on inflation, on Joe Biden. You know, the blame for inflation on Joe Biden. When in reality, like the whole world was dealing with this issue. It was a massive crisis everywhere, and I think you'd agree with that. But I think Joe Biden managed it pretty well. He's not the one that caused the COVID or caused the inflation, unless if you think he, made those things worse.
So is it still an issue then? Because it's still impacting people. So like under Trump, obviously it's gonna be better because of the policies he has, but it's not good right now because of Biden, if that makes sense.
So inflation happens constantly, so we're always going to have some type of inflation. We have a certain goal we want to meet. We usually want to be around 2% inflation. It did spike for a while. Now it's back to around 2%. Prices aren't going to go down because inflation is going to happen. But I would say that we also had really good wage growth over the past 3 years. And not everyone's going to have the same experience, obviously. So maybe you work a job where your wages did not increase. So when I talk about overall economic numbers, that doesn't mean anything to you. And I would say if that's the case, we need to look at other policies that can definitely help anyone who's in that position. But wages across the board for working class people and middle class people went up as well as inflation went up. So for grocery prices, for example, wage growth actually beat grocery prices in the past 3 years. If you look at the total increases, and that's not going to help everyone. And the entire world had issues, and there were hard things we went through. I always compare it to if there's a house fire, and I compare it to Joe Biden coming in with COVID already in full swing. The worst COVID wave came right after Joe Biden took office. The house was on fire, and I think Joe Biden did a pretty good job setting that, putting that fire out. And according to all the numbers globally, that's true. I would prefer they would do more to help working class people. But I also don't think Trump has a way to really do that either. So I definitely hear your concerns, and I think the price increases are definitely something to be worried about. But I would definitely love to hear what you think moving forward, and if you have any questions about like what Biden did, like manufacturing increased a lot in America. There's a lot more factories being built now in places like West Virginia, and other states that are very very red and very rural because of the bills that got passed. But if you have do you have any you know outlook on what's going to happen under Trump moving forward that you're excited about, versus things you were going to be worried about if Kamala won?
Oh, I do, but just to go back for a second, you were talking about how Joe Biden, like, he caused all like the wages increase and like more workers and stuff, and the
Oh, he didn't
inflation
cause
going
it.
down. Well, okay. Well, that's what you were saying.
No, no, he influenced it. But we operate in like we
Then
have
it was Trump who
global
did all that.
economies. But we influenced things with different policies. We can't like control
Okay.
everything,
So
but America did pretty good handling the economy.
no, it didn't. Like everything is so high right now, and
No,
that's
I
because
agree.
of
I
Joe
agree.
Biden's inflation.
No, it's not because of Joe Biden's inflation. So every country in the world suffered from inflation. Like every country in the world had prices go up a lot. Like every country had prices go up a lot. America did, Germany did, Japan, any country you can name, China, Russia, Canada, every country dealt with this. Joe Biden is president of America. He did not cause inflation in those countries. Every country had inflation because of COVID, because COVID affected the entire world. So Joe Biden in America, as far as compared to other countries, if we were in a race ranking who performed the best, Joe Biden's America
Okay.
performed way better than Germany, Canada, Japan, every
Yeah,
other
yeah,
first world
that's
country.
fine.
Yeah,
But
but that means Joe Biden did a good
that's
job
not what.
handling it. He's not the reason the
Okay.
house was on fire. He was putting out the
Okay.
fire.
Let's put yourself in the position. Okay, Joe Biden did a good job with the economy. He fixed all the problems, but you were still saying that Joe Biden caused that. So what caused that? If it was just the bounce back, so no one had to sit there, it would just happen naturally, or did Joe Biden cause it? Because Trump clearly caused that. Before, he was a great president, great businessman, everything was cheaper, and now we have Biden and it was completely different. Luckily we'll have Trump soon and we won't have to worry about this, but it's just ridiculous.
So I don't like how Trump wants to cut taxes for the top 1% more. I think if he wants to do more tax cuts, he should do it just for the middle class. I don't know why he needs to give so many tax breaks to
So
billionaires.
when did he say that?
Um,
Because I did not hear him say that. I hear all of the liberals and all of you guys saying that, but he never said that.
so in 2017, Trump passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which took the top corporate tax rate from 37% down to 21%. And Trump ran this campaign. He wanted to drop it from 21% to 15%, and also add more tax loopholes for the
Okay,
richest people in
fine.
society
He can
on
do
his
that for
site,
the
and he
rich
also said
people
that.
to impact them, but he's also impacting us because prices and everything will be cheaper because everything is going down because of him in office. Like the day after he's gonna be a pro business president, right? So like all the stocks went up
I would
that
say
day. And
Biden was pretty pro-president. We had all-time high stock numbers under Biden, and we had a record U.S. oil production under Biden too in 2023. We produced more oil under Biden than we did Trump.
okay, but that doesn't make sense because what you're saying is that Biden did better on that aspect when it's clearly not true. If you look 4 years back, Trump did just as well, if not better. So like you cannot give Biden that point if that makes sense.
Uh, no, I'm just saying that we just by the numbers we drilled more oil under Biden than Trump, because I know they say that Democrats are anti-drilling, but and Trump said drill baby drill, but we hit all-time high for energy independence in America in 2023 under Joe Biden, and also invested in green energy at the same time. And I would say what Joe Biden did, you can't control every factor. Presidents barely influence gas prices. It's really complicated with supply and demand, and it's all dominated by private companies who decide where this gas goes and how prices are set. One reason prices were so low for gas during the pandemic is because no one was driving. So prices had to be low, but that was because of the pandemic and everyone was on lockdown. But I would say for Joe Biden, he passed a couple bills. Trump talked about during his presidency about he's going to have an infrastructure week and pass infrastructure bills because that's really popular, building American roads and bridges.
Yes, I
And
agree. That's great.
yeah, and he wasn't able to really get a bill passed on that. And you could,
I
it
know
was a different
Biden did
time and
that though.
everything.
That is
And
one thing
Biden
I
was
did
able
hear
to.
about that I liked.
Yeah, so Biden
Because
got
it
that
actually
bipartisan bill passed.
directly
Yeah.
impacted me, but that's the only thing I think that I liked about him. I can't agree
Um,
with you on that
do
one
you
though.
think more manufacturing should be in America?
Duh. Yes, obviously. That's why Trump wants to implement more
Um,
tariffs for other countries so we can have independence in our own country
yeah,
for jobs.
definitely.
Duh.
I agree. We should have more manufacturing in America, especially on certain goods. So like during the pandemic, we found out that a lot of our medical supplies were made overseas. So we're like, how are we going to do this? Like supply chains are cut off, and we get all of our medical supplies from China. This doesn't work. So now we make more medical supplies in the U.S. to prepare for that. Um, American manufacturing spending, so like factories opening up in America. Biden passed the Chips and Science Act, which encouraged a lot more factories to be built to work on chips for like electronics, and also through the American Rescue Plan and a couple other different laws
Okay.
that Biden was able to pass.
So let's just
American
define.
manufacturing tripled So American manufacturing
Are
spending
you
tripled
saying
under
that
Biden versus
he's not
Trump.
trying to get back, like, our chips from other countries that are producing them?
So he's trying to
Like, get back
move.
to the beginning?
Yeah, he's trying to move manufacturing in America to America, and there might be some lithium mines in America, but that's like a more
But
that's a more
Trump's better at that.
complicated. I
Trump's
don't know
clearly
if
better at
Trump had
that.
any
He has a
policies.
proven track record.
I just don't know what policies Trump did on that. I know what Biden did. American manufacturing tripled under Biden. So like West Virginia right now has I think 8 or 9 new factories like huge factories opening up because of laws that Biden signed. So I think Biden was pretty good on
Biden
American
can't sign shit.
manufacturing.
He's something going on in his brain. He can barely speak. So I don't think he signed that.
No, he did. The Congress passed it. Joe Biden brought the legislation forward. Congress passed all these bills. I can give you a list if you'd like. And there's graphs that show our manufacturing spending in America and how many companies moved back to America. And we had an increase in auto jobs in America under Biden. And also like I don't know if you like unions or not, but unions had all-time high support under Biden's presidency. He was the first ever
And
president to
Trump
actually walk
supports
with
unions
unions.
too.
Trump is extremely anti-union. He supports bills that are going to take
When did
apart
he say
unions.
that? When did he say
Um,
that?
so it's on his website, and also if you want him saying it, there's a call with Elon Musk where they talked on X and they discussed workers, and Trump bragged about how he loves how Elon Musk would fire workers who were striking to try and form a union. And Trump was talking about how unions can weigh down a company and how unions are a bad thing overall and they need to stop. And on Trump's website, he supports legislation that would end a lot of union protections. And Biden's been the most pro-union president probably in the last 50 years since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Just in terms of policy passed and also what his like what his campaign stood for.
Okay, I get what you're saying when you're coming at that angle, but that doesn't make sense in the whole grand scheme of things when we're talking about how jobs coming back and inflation. When you tie that into unions, it just doesn't make
Hmm.
sense.
I agree, and by the way, I appreciate you having this conversation with me. Especially with how politics can typically be. It's hard to find good conversations where you're just like going through different understandings of different things, and it's really complicated. And I've done this for a long time, and I cannot tell you everything and every single factor. I could just tell you some things that Biden really focused on. For Trump, I know he wants to do like the across the board tariffs and like Biden increasing manufacturing, having the infrastructure bill. I'm glad we can agree like the infrastructure bill is good. I think it's good to support, I think it's good to pay Americans to build roads and bridges. I think it's good to pay Americans to help clean up their own communities. I think those are all really good things. So I'm happy that got done just from like an American perspective. But for
Mhm.
Trump, I know he wants to do mass deportations and also tariffs. Are there any other policies that Trump talked about that you thought were interesting during the campaign?
Immigration.
So just out of everything that Trump talked about, your two main things were like the tariffs and immigration for why you supported him.
Mhm. And the
Um.
economy.
Okay. So I think we talked about the economy a lot. And yeah, my overall point on that is just the entire world was facing an issue, and I think Joe Biden did a decent job dealing with it. But with immigration, um, how do you view immigration generally? Do you think immigration in general is a positive thing?
Bad.
Do you think any immigration is bad? Um, so like, do you think immigration is bad if it's illegal immigration or undocumented, or do you think it's bad even if it's legal?
All of it.
All immigration is bad. So like, if you had an ideal policy, you would cut off immigration completely from America. Is what you're saying?
Not exactly just the illegal and the bad stuff. But we can't
Okay,
filter the bad stuff, so we have to stop it because we can't filter it through.
okay. Can I propose? Okay, can I propose a situation that is happening now with Trump's push and many Trump supporters I speak to? I grew up in a really rural area, so I have a lot of friends that voted Trump. And they talk about immigration, and they say they want Trump to get rid of the violent criminals, violent criminals who are in our country illegally. But if it's a family that's been here for a long time and maybe they were here under some type of protective status, they don't think Trump should really go after them. And I see the Trump administration is going after a lot of people. So if a family was here for 20 or 30 years, they never commit any crime other than being here and being undocumented, not being citizens. Many Trump
Okay, okay,
supporters I
but why
spoke
didn't
to
Biden
would
do
prefer they
anything?
have a path to citizenship versus being deported, especially if they've been good neighbors, they've worked jobs, they've raised their kids here. A lot of Trump supporters I know say like we should give them a path to citizenship and focus on issues where people are committing violent crime. Would you agree with that at all, or like parts of that?
Not exactly, because the whole thing with the immigration coming here legally, right? How do we know if you're a bad person or a good person? We have no filter. Like we can't know. We can't figure it out. So we need to just stop it until we can figure that out, even if that's not possible.
I
Like
guess I would
even people
say
that were here like originally, that like we need to figure out them. Like if they're good and they're good people, that's fine. But like we need to figure out the other people.
okay, I guess we could focus on what you mean by other people. Are you familiar with any like have you ever heard someone say that immigrants, whether legal or illegal, have lower crime rates than naturally born American citizens?
That's not true.
That is true, but why do you think it's not true?
Because the people coming across our border, have you seen the border towns are overrun? It's crime ridden. Like Aurora, Colorado, the games took over that motel. Springfield, it's terrible. It cannot be happening.
Springfield, okay,
And
so
it's an
Colorado, there were
invasion into our
instances.
nation.
I wouldn't say invasion. So Springfield, for example, those were all legal immigrants, and there were no increases in crime. I drove to Springfield. In fact, the churches in Springfield are happy that they had a huge immigration influx because the churches are full again because many of these Haitian immigrants are very religious and they also are very good community members and they're very hard workers. The Republican governor of Ohio and the Republican mayor of that city, I think it's a city or town, and also the Republican owner of these businesses requested for these legal Haitian immigrants who are here under protective status to come and work in that community. So I will hear you definitely. There is chaos in the world, but for Springfield, Ohio, those claims
In
were completely
Aurora.
debunked. In Aurora, there were some cases of crime that were settled. When I heard someone say like entire apartment complexes were taken over, that wasn't necessarily true. Was there some crime? Yes. I also heard Trump say
There was a
that.
lot.
I heard Trump say that migrants with supreme
People
guns were
witnessing around
like,
there said there was crime shootings every night. It was unsafe.
yeah. And I'm sure you could look at numbers for many communities in America, and that's the case. It's not. I'm just saying just to not blame immigration for crime that someone might report, especially with like Springfield. Everything was a lie about the people there. Even those who reported the crime and said they got their cat stolen, they apologized and said we didn't want to bring hate on our neighbors. I found my cat in the basement later. So I think a lot of these,
So then
a
why did
lot,
Trump bring it up? Why did he say it in a national debate? Then why? It does not make
that's
sense what you're saying.
I agree. It does not make sense that Trump brought that up in the debate because it was debunked many times and he still kept repeating it. The mayor debunked it, the citizens debunked it, the journalists debunked it, the business owners debunked it, the crime rates debunked it, the local police chief debunked it. So
So then
Trump
how
repeating
was it
that was not
debated?
right.
Because it was clearly something happened. There was not nothing.
Um, there okay, so there were rumors being spread and a lot of pictures on the internet. But after we looked into them more, so did you see the picture of the black man carrying the geese?
Yep, I saw that one.
So that was actually someone from a completely different city who was clearing the road of roadkill, doing his job for the area. Like he worked on like some type of
How
like
do you know
animal.
that though? It could
Because
have been a different picture.
no, that specific picture of the guy carrying the geese went everywhere. And maybe you saw a different one. But that was someone clearing roadkill after someone looked into it and contacted officials. And actually, you can reverse image search and find where the image initially came from. But overall, I would say what ends up happening, uh, it doesn't make and yeah, Donald Trump repeating that is weird to me because of all these people who debunked it. So that is a very weird thing to me, and that's why many people called him out to say like, why are you repeating this? These claims are unfounded. And then the Ohio governor had to send in the National Guard because there were so many bomb threats being called into schools in Springfield, Ohio, based off of these rumors. And I wish Trump would have verified those. I wish Trump would have verified that story before talking about it on a national
Okay,
stage
okay, wait.
because it caused a lot of
So what
issues.
do you think of Trump for saying that? Do you like what do you think? Like is he a liar? Is like I'm confused what you're getting at with that point. He clearly brought it up for a reason, but you're not telling me the reason, which isn't making
Um,
sense.
he's I okay. So there's three different possibilities. Either he's a liar, or he just believed
Which
someone
isn't
who told
true.
him about it, and he just believed them and didn't do any thinking of his own, looking into the situation before saying it on the debate stage. That story came out the day before the debate, so maybe someone just told him about it and he thought it sounded like something that could be true, so he wanted to repeat it very confidently. And he said he saw it on the TV many times when the moderators asked him like, "Hey, where did you see this?" And that's not true. He said, "I saw it on the television." And the third option is that maybe I don't know. Maybe Trump is just maybe he was kind of just tired and got confused. Maybe. But yeah, I don't know why he repeated that.
So then what's the point getting at? Okay, like, okay, back to the whole grand scheme of immigration. Then why are these specific stories and specific accounts coming up? There's clearly something happening that needs to change, which Trump will clearly take action on. Like he appointed
Yeah.
the border czar Tom Homan, which is going to be amazing. He's going to be strict on immigration, and we're going to have a country that's safe again.
It's politics. So Donald Trump ran on immigration. So whenever these stories did come up, even if some of them were fake and fabricated, he wanted to bring up these stories to help his campaign because it helped Donald Trump's campaign message. So this is one reason. So we are not able to be everywhere in the world at once. This is one reason why people think the crime rate for immigrants is so much higher than it is. And they don't know that the crime rate for immigrants is actually lower than naturally born American citizens. It's because whenever an immigrant commits a crime, that story is literally everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. This is an immigrant committing a crime. This is part of the larger issue. We got to get them out of our country. So those are the claims we typically hear when someone talks about immigration because they're running on it politically. So those
Okay,
concerns
wait,
are
back up a minute. Then what
overemphasized.
do you think about immigration? What do you think needs to happen? Because I
Yeah.
don't think the policy works doing nothing, which is what Biden has sat and done the last 4 years, which is what Obama did. We need to have something. So what do you think? Because you have nothing. Like the Joe Biden didn't do anything. So why do we have nothing?
So I would say that Obama, he had a nickname among really progressive groups. Have you heard it before? What they called him
I don't know.
by chance with immigration? They called him the deporter in chief because Obama deported so many people. If you look at immigration numbers when Trump came in office, it was actually at
Okay, so
I
what
think
is Trump gonna deport less or more people than Obama, do you think?
Trump deported. So like Biden deported more people than Trump did and deported a higher percentage of people than Trump did, but there was
Yeah,
so
but
much
people are
more.
getting shipped in on buses here. They're coming in by the thousands. Have you seen that hole that where they were just running in? They speak Spanish and they're just running into our country. New York is being overridden. There's hotels filled with these illegal migrants.
I want to say New
And
York's being
it's
overridden.
ridiculous.
I have friends in New York. I know Donald
Okay,
Trump
I've
said
seen
that.
videos though where they're using hotels, they're putting them in
Yeah, but I know
schools.
people that live
Have you
there.
seen
Yeah, they're
that?
putting them in schools and hotels, but that doesn't mean they're like, you know, they're
But that's
supporting
not good.
asylum
So
seekers.
what's the policy? There's no policy there. You're just
Uh,
doing
are
nothing
you
until our country is just filled up with the rest of the world.
are you from and America was built on immigration in general. So immigration, I
Okay.
think, is a good thing that we
We
should
need to have
support, but
something
we
though.
need to
You're
support
just
it.
saying it's
No,
ridiculous.
okay, so there was a bill proposed. I'm sure you've heard about the
Oh,
bipartisan
don't even
border
bring up
bill.
that bill. That's ridiculous. Democrats voted against it. It was clearly anti. It was not just
It was
Republicans
gonna
that
pass
killed the
because
bill.
some Democrats were
I've heard that.
supporting
I
it.
heard that one in the debate too. That's
But
ridiculous.
it was a thing that happened though. Like that bill would have really helped with
Yeah,
our
but
system.
Democrats voted against that. Explain that.
Republicans were voting against it after Trump told them not
So
to
were
vote for it.
Democrats. So
Yes, some
clearly it was
Democrats.
unpopular.
Some Democrats were voting against it. Some Democrats, but it would have passed if Donald Trump did not tell Republicans to vote against it because it was a Republican bill. They wrote the entire bill. The most conservative member of Congress wrote the bill. So Republicans did support it more, but it was bipartisan and it was going to pass with enough Democrats. So, like, for example, Biden got the infrastructure bill done, which is bipartisan, the bipartisan infrastructure bill done, because
Yes, which I like.
A few Republicans came over to support that bill. So I think I forget the exact number, but let's say like only 20% of Republicans came over to support that bill, but it was still able to pass because all Democrats supported it. That's a situation that happened here where Republicans are talking about the border. Republicans say it's the number one issue, and Republicans wrote the bill, and then they were going to support it and pass it, but then Donald Trump sends out marching orders, and all of them vote against it. And that bill would have greatly increased our capacity to handle immigration in a much
Yeah, but I
better
don't see that as
in a much
true
better way.
because congressmen, they're not intertwined with Trump. They're not like they're
Oh,
not
they
his
definitely
like
are.
crazy men.
Yeah, they
Where?
definitely
How is
are.
that true? They're different people. They're voted in by the people of
Yeah,
their
but
counties,
Trump is
the
so
whatever
popular, he's
the
able to use that influence. And Trump, if Trump is so popular in the
you're
Republican
basically saying
Party,
Trump could do whatever he wants, which isn't true. Because how did Biden
yes,
get elected then?
no, Trump can do whatever
He
he
can't do
wants
whatever he
in
wants.
Trump can do whatever he wants in influencing the Republican Party. Republicans need to listen to Trump because if Republicans don't listen to Trump, he's gonna not endorse them, and Trump's gonna endorse someone else to take that Republican spot. So Republicans are scared to speak out against Trump. Even right now, when Donald Trump is picking
That's
members for his
ludicrous.
cabinet, many Republicans are
That's
scared
not
to speak out
true.
against Donald
That's
Trump.
not true.
Many of them are very
That's not
scared to
true.
speak out against him.
One of my senators actually doesn't support Trump, but she's a Republican. So that doesn't make sense. What you're saying does not make sense. There's not all everyone.
That
That's
one
just not true.
person, I'm saying the Republican Party in Congress and the Senate follows Trump at a 99% rate. You can find your personal experience or find a picture or find an example of it being different, but that doesn't represent
But that
everyone.
doesn't, so they have free will. They're choosing to, which means
Yeah,
that
they're
they
choosing
clearly didn't support it.
Yeah, but Trump is using they're choosing to do it because they want to survive politically, because Trump is forcing them to do what he says, or he's going to make sure their political career dies, and he's going to use his influence against them. That's the reason they're doing that. So they do have free will, but Trump is abusing
He can't
that.
fire them. He can't just fire a random person from the House of Representatives to Senate.
Yes, but he can primary them. He can support a candidate against them and not support them and turn his entire base against them. And
But
Trump
we
is
have
so
free and fair
popular.
elections.
Yeah, we do have
That's
free and
not
fair elections,
happening.
but these free and fair elections, the people voting in them love Trump in the Republican side. So another Republican will beat that Republican that doesn't listen to Trump because voters are going to want a pro Trump Republican. That's the point. Like, Trump wants to make sure everyone is a pro
Not where
Trump
I live,
Republican.
clearly.
Okay, your own one example personal experience does not change the rest of the world.
You mean the rest of the United States of America? This isn't the whole world. Trump is not the dictator of the world.
Okay. Okay, yes. And if you want to say that, you are correct. We are in the US of A. You are
Do you
correct.
think Trump's going to start taking over other countries? Is that what you're saying?
Nope, I did not say that at all. It was actually just a figure of speech. I was just making I'm just talking.
Okay, well, it felt implied.
I did not imply that at all. I think it's a pretty common expression to be hyperbolic with that kind of statement. I apologize. But yeah, I think immigration is generally important to the growth of America. It's been fundamental to the growth and the strength of our country.
Okay, so
We
one
were the
bill, but
melting
why
pot.
didn't it happen? No answers.
The Statue of Liberty is there for a reason.
It's fine. You just don't have any answers.
I do have answers, and it was in that
Same with
bill.
Democrats. They do the same thing every single time. Immigration. They don't know what to say. They just say, "Oh, immigration's good," until our cities
No,
are being
no.
overrun
Trump
with
just says
crazy
immigration is
migrants,
bad and
and
doesn't
it's
have
happening
solutions to
everywhere.
it. If you want to
He
ask
does
me
have
my opinion,
solutions.
what's his solution?
He's deporting millions of people.
That's
He
not a
just
solution.
appointed Tom Homan as border czar. He did
That
that.
is a
Am I
fact.
wrong in saying that? I saw
He
that
did
on
appoint that
Twitter.
guy. He did appoint that guy.
Okay. And that guy, I read he was super strict on immigration. He's going to deport hundreds of millions of illegal migrants out of our country.
Okay, so when I look at immigration, we have a legal process for people to claim asylum and for people to try and get into America for multiple different claims. We have different paths to citizenship or protective status. Right now, our system is overwhelmed because we don't have the money or resources to handle it. And there are many innocent people in America who are currently not citizens who have not harmed anyone, who are very valuable to America and to our communities, who I do not want to
Okay,
get
keep
hurt
them,
and
but get
swept
the other
up
ones
in a
out.
mass deportation. So, expanding our ability to hear cases at the border is a really big deal, which is what the border bill was attempting to do. And Donald Trump has not introduced legislation. And for us to really radically change immigration to make it work, we need it to pass through Congress because Congress controls budgets and Congress controls, huge parts of the
Well,
government.
then you have to get the voters. You're not gonna get the
Trump did
voters
everything through
because of all your
executive order.
lies, all the crimes that are happening. They're happening under Biden. It's sad. It's disgusting, and it's terrible.
Well, all those crimes still happened under Trump as well, but they weren't politicized in the same way.
It's fine.
Um,
It's fine. I know though, when Trump comes into office, come January, we're gonna have mass deportation. We're gonna get all these crazy illegal immigrants out of our
they're
country.
not
We're gonna have
crazy.
a safer country, a more healthy country, and it's just gonna be overall great.
Well, okay, immigrants are less crazy than naturally born American citizens. Let's just confirm that fact. It's true that
Where's
immigrants,
that
illegal
fact?
or legal, do not commit as much violent crime as naturally born Americans.
Okay, what
And
was the
according
sample
to
size
every
again?
crime reporting database, every police department.
Name one.
Um, name one. Name one. What? If I say the FBI, you'll probably just say you
The
don't trust the
crimes
FBI.
reporting.
You just don't trust the FBI if I
You
say that.
can't trust the FBI. Did you see who Biden appointed? It's appointing crazy people. It's ridiculous. We don't have trust in the system. It's ridiculous. We cannot have trust in any of aspects of our government right now.
So we can't have trust in police departments reporting crime.
No, I'm talking about our national government. I
No,
trust
the
in local government.
FBI, so they want more funding. So they actually get more funding if crime's higher. So when they accumulate data from across the country on crime and on crime committed by immigrants, for example,
Okay,
there's
so
a
then they say more
right-wing
crimes
think
committed by
tank.
American
A
people, so we
right-wing
get more
think
money.
tank is the one that
Oh,
actually said how immigrants have a lower crime rate than naturally born American citizens. Because here's what actually happens. So when someone takes their entire life with their kids and they come to America to try and find safety and a better life, the last thing they want is to get deported. And for all of these gangs that you're talking about, they usually live in lawless countries. Okay, the really dangerous gangs. So when you hear about caravans, that's not the same as gangs. These are usually people looking for asylum in America, and sometimes they are diverted and try to look for it in other countries. The thing is, people view all immigrants as gang members, as violent, as that. There's a reason Trump calls
because
them illegal
most of them
aliens and
are, even
animals.
though you're
That's not true.
they
Most of them are not. They have a lower crime rate than than
bringing
naturally born
up that
American
data,
citizens.
but you just said the
You believe
FBI.
things that are
But
not
I
true about the
literally just
world.
told you because you said the FBI makes money off people have when there's more crimes, and you say more crimes are coming from people that are non-American citizens, which
No, no,
means
I'm
they
saying the
literally
reporting
lie
is correct.
on that.
I
They
said that for a
report
reason
and
to say
lie
that the
on that
reporting is
data
correct from the
to get more
FBI.
money for the border. It's that simple.
It's not
You're just
simple.
wrong.
Nothing is simple. Nothing is simple about immigration.
I learned something new, and I learned that you're wrong because of it.
What did you learn that was new?
I learned you were talking about the FBI data, correct? You
I'm
said they
saying
make
that
money.
their data is reliable. The data that says immigrants have a lower crime rate than naturally born American citizens is reliable. Those numbers are true. So when you say immigrants are all crazy and most of them are crazy, that is not true. That is just not a fact. And like I said, most of these are
That's not what I was
families.
saying. I was saying
Most
that
of
was
these immigrants are families seeking a safe place to live, to work, a job. They do not want to get deported. They don't want to illegally vote. They
has
don't want to
nothing
commit crimes because they'll
to
get
do it.
deported and separated from their families. They don't want to be separated from their families. These are human beings searching for a better life. If there are criminals coming over,
Okay.
and they're
Here's
not
the thing.
criminals already,
I
if there's
don't
someone that
think
commits a
about
violent crime, let me tell
you're
you the
right.
actual things that are happening, okay? So if there's someone that's committing violent crime, then fine, 100%. Sure, definitely. That's an issue. But when you're talking about all immigrants, the vast majority of immigrants, the vast majority, 99% of immigrants, are great people looking for a safe place to live. They don't want to get separated from their kids. If they are
So what do
gangs,
you think?
why? Okay,
Okay,
think
what
about
about the
this.
crazy
No,
people? They
if
have
they're gangs,
kids.
if
What do
there
we
are
do? We
gangs,
leave them
if there are gangs,
kids?
why would they go from lawless countries? Why would a gang go from a country that has no laws
So
to
they can make
America
our
where they're going to
country
get
like that.
deported and separated from their
They're making
families?
our country like that.
They are not
Do you
making
not
our
see
country
how that
like that. You
resembles?
are hearing about these
They're gonna.
stories for a
The more
reason.
people coming off the border, they're getting shipped in care. They're coming out. They're
They're not being
dumping the
shipped in,
prison
they're not being
to
dumped
come
in.
into our country. And you, it's not making any sense what you're saying. They're literally dumping our prisons out to come into our country, right? Right? Is that correct? because that
Who
is
is they and
correct.
who is dumping? How's that correct? What's your source?
The legal countries, they're dumping their prisons out to come to our country, to invade it, to create migrant gangs, to make our country lawless and ridiculous. And it's happening in many places. Aurora, Colorado, like I mentioned earlier.
Well, that's the only thing that you saw in the media because that was the one story they were able to politicize the most. You don't have any other examples that you can name.
Because they're hidden. The media
Because
hides
they're
them.
hidden.
We're
So
lucky
there's
enough to
so
see this
okay. So you
one.
believe there are migrant gangs all over America taking our country over, making it lawless, but you can't name more than the two examples that were popularized and politicized by the Trump campaign. You cannot name any other examples of this actually happening.
If
This is
you
such a
see it
huge and
there,
disruptive issue. It's a
right here.
huge issue, but you cannot name anything at all. You cannot name one other topic about these gangs, these imaginary gangs that are being dropped here from prisons, which is only a statement people even say because Trump lied about it. You cannot name one other thing. If it's really that disruptive, you should have 50 examples. You should have 1,000 examples
Look at New
of
York.
law enforcement making
Look at
complaints.
New York.
And that's not happening in New York. Trump said that migrants were taking
Have you
over
seen?
Times Square with supreme
I
guns.
literally
That
watched
is
a
not
video of
true at all.
migrant
Times
gangs
Square was completely peaceful
fighting
at
in
that
New.
time when he said that.
I saw a video of them fighting in New York, migrant
Yeah,
gangs.
you saw
It's
a video of
happening.
someone fighting in New York. I can find a video of someone fighting anywhere. I can find a video of someone shooting each other in Alabama. Alabama has a higher per capita crime
Okay,
rate than New
then
York
there's
City does.
migrant gangs there too.
Every red state has a
It's
higher per capita
happening
crime rate than New York City
everywhere,
does.
and you're just not believing it. You just
You
don't
aren't
believe
believing.
anything.
You are based in beliefs. You are believing things. I am looking at reality. I'm looking at what's really
I'm
happening.
like, you too. These are real examples, and I'm mentioning them, and you're just proceeding to ignore them.
No, okay, Springfield was completely debunked. Okay,
I
Aurora
didn't bring
was
up
very
Springfield.
isolated. You said
That's
there
not
are
what
gangs
Aurora
taking over
watched.
this
That's
entire
not
country,
legal.
disrupting
Because I
everyone.
mentioned Alabama.
What happened in Alabama? What happened?
You mentioned Alabama. You said I could watch two people shooting each other in Alabama.
You
That's an
could find a
example of a
video
migrant gang.
anywhere to back up your bias, but to back up what you want to believe.
See?
You could find people
Because they're
fighting in New York
prime
City.
examples. They're true.
What's
Where's your
true?
truth?
So you see a video of 5 people fighting. That means the 20 million immigrants in America that are undocumented are all violent criminals, is what you're saying.
No, not all of them, but there clearly are some, and we need to get them out, and we shouldn't let any more in. Which you guys continue
They
to
are
let
already deporting
in,
violent
and you
criminals who are
don't kick them out.
undocumented. We're talking about
Where?
deporting
Because
people who are just living normal lives in America. That's the
they
issue.
may deport them, but they ship 100,000 more in
They
right through
don't
the
ship
border.
them in. There's no evidence of shipping them
More
in. I
in,
don't know what
they
you mean
dump
by
their
shipping them
prisons.
in. There's asylum claims. Who's shipping them in? What countries are
Dump their
shipping people into the
prisons
U.S.?
into our country. I've heard Donald Trump talk about this multiple
I know you've
times.
heard Donald Trump talk about it. All you've heard is Donald Trump talk about it. That's why you believe all these conspiracy theories. That's why you believe the thing about the Haitian
Not
immigrants in
conspiracy
Springfield,
theories, they're
Ohio.
truth. Stop calling them conspiracy theories.
They are
They're
conspiracy
true
theories. They're
prime
fake.
examples
They're
of what's
fake
happening.
stories. Can you just admit that Springfield, Ohio is a fake story about them eating cats and dogs? Or do you think
I've
they ate cats
I've
and
been to
dogs?
Springfield once, and I regret it. Yeah, you're right. I did
Do
look
you
at
think
that.
they
I
ate cats and
glad that
dogs?
there's
And
bomb
do you
threats
think they
there.
were eating cats and dogs in Springfield,
I
Ohio?
think it wasn't proven. They could have been. I'm sure there was someone there eating cats and dogs in Ohio. And I know you can't prove me wrong for that.
So you're allowed to make any claims with zero evidence, and you can just tell everyone that every immigrant is evil. They're shipping immigrants in. The entire country's
Okay,
being,
that's not the same. Non-immigrant eating a cat
destabilized.
and dog. That
No
doesn't change
police
the
unions
fact
are talking about this, by the way.
Springfield is
Every
a
state,
true
these
story.
police unions are silent about these
Look at it.
crimes and these gangs taking over cities.
But it's happening.
You could say something's happening somewhere, okay? Something's
You're
happening
refusing
everywhere.
to ignore the truth, though. You didn't even you touched the surface on Aurora because you knew you were wrong.
Wrong about what?
That illegal migrant gangs are coming over and taking over places, creating violence and crime in our
There was
country.
never a place taken over, okay? If you saw the CCTV footage of someone
Oh, I saw them taking
with
over. I
assault
saw
rifles
witnesses
in an
around
apartment
here and shooting
complex,
every night, saying how unsafe it was on
the
Twitter.
people who
You can
own those
literally watch
apartment
the
okay, on Twitter,
videos.
so you're using Twitter as your other source, Donald Trump and Twitter. The people who own the apartment complexes themselves
I saw it
said
on
that
YouTube.
buildings
I
were
saw
not
it on
taken
video
over.
right
There was
now.
crime. Just like I said, there's crime everywhere. Every group of people commits crime. My issue is you're putting a disproportionate amount of blame on immigrants when that's not fair because that's not really there. You're saying that most immigrants are crazy. When you say most immigrants are crazy and
And I
most
think a lot
immigrants
of
are
liberals
crazy,
are crazy too, and I think we should ship them out of the country too. It doesn't make a
so liberals
difference.
should be shipped out of the country too. Okay.
Well, they're all crazy. If you're just saying ship crazy people out, you'd be first on the list.
Okay. Okay, I was way too nice to you
Makes
during this
so much
conversation.
sense.
I hope you have a good rest of your night. Um,
Okay. You too. Thanks for the debate. I hope you have a good night.
all right, thank you for watching. Please drop a like on this stream. Please drop a like. We have 75 likes right now. Please drop a like. These are very good, fun conversations. It's 4 a.m. I can barely do this. This is my third attempt on recording an intro for this segment. A girl called in, a MAGA girl boss, and she was very mad about the state of the world, and I was very gentle in the first half. In the second half, she got a little bit unreasonable and disrespectful, and I said that I regret not going harder on her at the beginning of the convo, but then she commented in my Discord that she's sorry for being unreasonable at one point. And I really appreciate that and respect that. And the conversation was really good. And we often talk about voters who may receive their news from a certain media source. She said X is an unbiased source. We talk about Springfield, Ohio, and about the hoax there, the lies about the cats and the dogs. Talk about New York and Aurora, Colorado. We talk about the economy, Bidenflation, and Bidenomics. So it's a really good conversation. And I think this is actually, I think I show a good model on how to talk to voters who we may consider to be out of the loop. I don't want to say low information because low information sounds like we say dumb, but we're not saying dumb. These are smart people who are being shown propaganda that's not true. And yeah, we have to do our best to have conversations and do our best to make sure we have good stuff, you know? Okay, I'm tired. I'm dying. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Please become a channel member. I need to I need support. I need support. I need subscriptions and support, bro. I'm dying out here, bro. This was probably my favorite stream I've done though. I'm not going to lie.